ahead of the Penn State's first ever Frozen Four appearance. We are joined at this time by men's hockey head coach Guy Gdowski. We'll open it up to questions here on Zoom first. If you have a question for Guy. If you have a question for Guy on Zoom, just please raise your hand. I'll unmute you and you can ask Guy your question. We'll open it up to Zoom first before we open it up to the room. So if you have a question, use the raise hand feature. I'll ask you to unmute and you can ask Guy your question. Jacob Cherish, go ahead.
Hey, Guy. I want to ask you kind of about Aiden Fink. He hasn't scored in 6 games. I just kind of want to know, where his mindset is in that, because feels like a long time for him specifically without getting on the score sheet.
Yeah, but his mindset is 100% that the team's winning and he's jacked. And I actually
recording in progress.
But the thing about, I think Finker compared to a lot of other guys that get props for being scorers is he works so hard and he does so much on the other side of the puck that really, he doesn't have to score to be a real inspirational player and a real effective player. And you asked about his mindset again. I can tell you 100% because I asked him. He was like, "Hey, all this is about is winning." So he's contributing in a great deal. I'm sure he's gonna. I would bet on him. And the longer he goes without a goal, that's worse for the opponent because that's not going to happen for too much longer.
David Melandra, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, couple questions for you. One, can you just talk about what these last couple weeks have been like for you guys, especially this Cinderella run you guys are on?
You know what? Honestly, I think it's business as usual. The guys really enjoy coming to the rink, and they really have a great time working out. They have a great time practicing. They have a good time with free time in the arena, whether it's darts or ping pong or chess or just hanging out. They really have a good time together. Honestly, I don't think it's been much different. It's business as usual.
Go ahead again if you got a follow-up, David.
All right. Hey, Coach, my follow-up would be is, when you look at your opponent, what do you think is going to be some of the biggest challenges that stick out?
Their power play is over 28%. Obviously, that's something that's of a concern. I think they're 4th in the nation, but extremely dangerous from multiple places in the offensive zone. Obviously, they have a defenseman that is extremely gifted. So really, we are going to play an extremely disciplined game to give ourselves a better chance.
Again, if you have a question on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature. I'll call on you to unmute, and you can ask Guy your question. If you have a question in the room, raise your hand. We'll get a mic to you, and you can ask Guy your question.
Hey, Guy. Last week you talked about the interview process, all those years ago. Just wanted to follow up on that. Since then, what do you think is maybe the top lesson you've learned, throughout this whole process?
It might be this year. Really, there's been a lot of great lessons along the way, but this year, the way that Carson, Dick, Simon Mack, the leadership group, kept everybody from being negative. I think you can look at it in a positive way about we have to be positive, but he absolutely refused to let anybody be negative. To me, it was a great lesson. Obviously, we learned it alongside the women's volleyball team, how they were able to win a national championship by overcoming something that looked insurmountable. Well, there was a time in our season where people left us for dead too, just like the women's volleyball team. And to actually, everybody talks a good game, but for them to actually do it and then come out right now going to the Frozen Four is just remarkable. That's, I think, the biggest lesson that I've learned in a long, long time.
Coach Owen Gelber with the Center Counter Report. We spoke last week in Allentown about the buzz around campus and how much it means to you guys. Just want to follow up on that. And to somebody who may not be super invested in hockey, hasn't watched a ton of hockey this season, saw that Pagula's hosting a watch party on Thursday. What is your message to somebody who's maybe hesitant about coming to this watch party, somebody who's not super into hockey? What's your message to them?
Well, first of all, just go and enjoy the atmosphere wherever the Roar Zone is. Whether it's in Allentown or Pagula Ice Arena, the Roar Zone will get you hooked. I can't tell you how many people that I've talked to that said, "Hey, I never watched hockey before, but I went to Pagula Ice Arena. Boy, are those students ever fun, and now I love the sport. I'm getting to learn it." I think if you just go to be around the Roar Zone, around these great students. You're going to get hooked on them and hooked on the sport.
Coach, this will now be the third straight Hockey East team that you have played in a row. Is there anything you can take from the last two contests that you can maybe use in this matchup against Boston?
I'm not sure. I think they're very different. I think there's similarities between UConn and Maine, and I'm not so sure that I think Boston U is a little bit of a different animal with obviously the amount of skill they have is immense, and so I think they play different games. So no, we're not going to adjust. We're not going to assume that they're going to play the same way.
Hey, Coach. What do you think is the defining characteristic of this team that you can say just makes them different, like that it factor?
I'm not so sure I can put it in one word. It might be perseverance or resilience, but it's the fact that they were able to stay positive in very difficult situations. So again, like it's people applaud athletes, people in general that can be positive, and when everything around you is going well, you know, it's fairly easy to be positive. It's a rarity when things look rock bottom for guys to really step up and be positive, and that's what this team did.
Coach, you mentioned the word perseverance, and something that stuck out a ton in that game against UConn was how well the team was able to fight through adversity, especially later on in the third and most of that overtime period. What can you speak about, and why does this team, why don't they crumble? What allows them to constantly fight through adversity, even when it seems like everything's against them?
Two things. I think one, the experiences that we've had during the season. So when you haven't won in 9 starts in your first 9 Big Ten games, and you're on the road against an awesome team, that's not easy. It's not an easy task. So this team has been used to some pretty extreme challenges, and when you fight hard and get through them, come out on the other side, it gives you confidence in that. The second thing is, and you referenced the game against UConn. Once again, we absolutely jumped on the Roar Zone's back. I mean, we had help. We actually started out really, really well. We were running out of gas a little bit, and when the Roar Zone started rolling, and we got on their back, so that really helped.
Coach, your defenders, obviously you had Nick Fascia playing last week. What did you like from them in practice this week going into a big-time game against BU this Thursday? What did you like from your defenders this week in practice?
So this week was very similar to what they've given the last 2 months, if not more. You mentioned Nick Fascia, and I'm glad you did. So there's different, when you talk about persevering and how it happens, I mean, sometimes you need things that really spur you on. I mentioned the Roar Zone. But the hit that Nick Fascia had on the UConn player who tried the Michigan from behind the net was as good a hit and the most important hit that I've been a part of. It absolutely gave us life. It was tremendous to watch. And what I really like about it is Nick Fascia was a guy that once Jimmy Dowd came back from injury, he didn't play, and not because of anything he did or did not do, just the fact that it's numbers. And instead of sulking or being negative, this guy just became more and more positive. He worked out extra every day in the hotels when we're on the road. He was working out more and more and more, and he just really did all he could to be ready for a moment if it came. There was no guarantee that it would come, but he was ready when it did, and boy, was he ready.
You've been here a while. The program's had some success before. Does this even more so feel like an arrival of sorts?
It's certainly a really good accomplishment. To get to the Frozen Four in college hockey is very, very difficult. There's so many just great, long, traditional, successful programs. It's very, very difficult, especially, I think, from the conference that we're in. So it's certainly a really nice accomplishment. Have we arrived? I don't necessarily think that it's the results, whether you arrive. I really think, opening night when we came out of the tunnel and we looked to the right and saw the Roar Zone, packed and jamming, I think that's when we arrived. I think there's a lot of people that looked at that and went, ooh, Penn State's going to get there. It was just a matter of time.
There will be obvious ripple effects, though, from reaching this. What do you think they might be?
There's one thing that from the very start, a lot of hockey players were extremely extremely positive and extremely they gave a lot of credit to Penn State, the university, and was like, man, like Penn State is an awesome university. It's so much fun. I'd love to go there. I just don't want to lose for 4 years. So we heard that a lot. Like we really did. That and it was written, I don't know if there's anybody in this room, but it was absolutely written that Penn State would not win a Big Ten game in 3 years. And so there's not a lot of recruits, high-end recruits that go, oh, I want to be a part of that. So the most common response we got from higher-end recruits is love the university, think it's awesome, sorry, I don't want to lose my whole career. Well, I think the ripple effect might be that we won't hear that very much anymore.
We'll go to a few more on Zoom right now. Jacob Charis, go ahead.
Can you talk about the Graves line? They really played a big role, especially in the Big Ten tournament. And just what have you seen from them? And really, honestly, how they kind of came together as a trio.
Yeah, the new identity line. I mean, we have a great identity line that everybody understands, and that's really it's four people. It's Dane Dowiak, Keaton Peters, Tyler Paquette, and Carson Dick. And they are the identity. But there was another line that came together that said, you know what, we want to be one too. And actually, so Nick DeGraves fits on it. He'd fit on any identity line in the nation. But you have to give Ben Schoen a ton of credit for changing his game. And it's interesting. We're probably using the most gifted natural scorer that we have is Dylan Lugris. And I know who's on our team. I know Aiden Fink's on our team. I know, Didi's on our team. This guy is something very special, but he was looking at where he was going to fit and wanted to be a part of that. And right now, all three of them are just playing such a strong identity game. They're a big part to why we have confidence and a big part to our success.
Joe Smith, go ahead.
Hey, you mentioned the recruiting in the early years of guys didn't want to lose, right? It was hard to convince top end recruits to come there. I think you mentioned last week on a call that you had to kind of evolve in that and kind of get different kind of guys to your program. I guess, how would you describe what your pitch was then? And did you see a turning point in recruiting where you've kind of figured out your niche initially? Now it might be different with the winning here, but in terms of then and how you get those guys that want to buy into building for the program.
I tell you what, I don't think those guys are going to allow us to change our niche. And I'll tell you why, because now we have had some success. Obviously, pretty quickly we were able to win the Big Ten. And on that team, you have guys, Ricky DeRosa comes out, right to mind. James Robinson, I could go through a whole bunch. Dave Thompson, our own coach, Andrew Sturts, you can go on and on. These are guys that came here and wanted the challenge to build something and not the challenge just to arrive in a program that's already rolling. And they weren't intimidated by playing the monsters of college hockey. And when we started to have more and more success, it was those guys that came back. I do know Chris Funke was one of them as well. I remember this conversation basically saying, don't you dare lose, don't you dare start to get entitled. Don't you dare. Don't you dare lose the foundation of what allowed us to do this in the first place. So I hope the niche doesn't change at all.
Dave Melandra.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned about the Roar Zone, how the impact that they had, especially in Allentown. Do you see any future games being scheduled in Allentown or in Philadelphia, especially the success you guys have had?
I certainly wouldn't rule it out. We have played in Philadelphia. We have played in Wilkes-Barre. We certainly played in Pittsburgh. So we played in a number of places that I think we have. Penn State has great alumni to come out. Certainly would like to see that again. Obviously, DC this year was really good. We played in Madison Square Garden. So I'm not sure if we have anything specifically right now on the books, but we certainly would like to do it.
One more for Zoom right now, Joe Smith, and then we'll go back to the room. Go ahead, Joe.
Hey, I just had one follow-up. You mentioned before your interview, and Terry Bagula told you his vision of having kids grow up in Pennsylvania, go to Penn State, go to the NHL. First, what was your initial reaction when you heard that vision? And number two, how long on the car ride back did you decide you wanted to do this job?
Yeah, it was my initial thought to that vision is that is awesome. That is really cool. At the time, I didn't know much about youth hockey in this area, and I thought I just love the fact that he was thinking, more macro than this is just about a Division I team. So I thought it was awesome. And I don't think I got in the car. If you spend, 5 minutes with Terry Pagula, and he's talking about what his vision is for his arena and for Penn State. Trust me, I didn't get in the car before I decided that I want to be a part of this. So please remember that I also understood the support that Penn State football, Penn State wrestling, Penn State women's volleyball, Penn State anything gets, and that is a very, very attractive to any coach that loves passion.
Hey, Guy. I asked you last week on the Zoom about RC and his fit and his play down the stretch, but I wanted to follow up on that and take you back to when you're scouting him, trying to recruit him to come here. What do you remember about that process? What stood out about him then?
So his recruiting process was entirely through Giuliano Pagliaro. At the time, we knew that we were going to need a goalie, and we were looking at guys from junior, as well as we were curious to see who was going to be in the portal. And when goalies were available, whether it was junior hockey goalies or goalies out of the portal, Pags did a heck of a lot of homework on them as quickly as he could. And I do know that he thought that Arseni was an excellent technical goalie. But at the same time, we also knew players that played with and against him in junior hockey, as well as our own director of ops. George Lewis coached against him in the North American League, and he also coached against him in the USHL. And it was George Lewis that automatically went, look, like, and George is like me. He wasn't a goalie. It takes goalies to really look at other goalies to tell you how technical they were. But George was like, that guy is a killer. Like, he's a killer. He's a winner. And we knew that for sure. So the combination of Pags doing his homework technical and the fact that we had someone that coached against him, and then we also had players like Dean Dowiak that played with him, that's like, man, he's the man. So we were pretty confident.
Guy, you spoke about those early years and how they kind of built the foundation for the culture that you have now. How often do you teach this current team about the program's history, and do some of those early players come back and speak, and have they spoken, I guess, this past week?
Yes, they haven't spoken this past week. Yes, they do come back and speak, and we do address the culture quite often, multiple times a year, but it's not the coaching staff that does it. It's the players. It's the players that learned from the past leaders. They're the ones that really keep the culture going, and it's up to them whether they enhance it or not. I've said it many times that specifically when it comes to culture, it doesn't necessarily matter what happens when the coaches are in the locker room. What really is important is when the coaches leave. So, again, the leadership group that we have this year has been awesome, but they've learned from the Paul DeNaples of the world, and go on and on. All the captains of the past, they have learned and passed on and on, right from, you have guys, Tommy Olczyk, David Glenn, Patrick Caudice, David Goodwin, you can go on and on. I think James Robinson is one whose footprints is all over this Frozen Four because of what he's meant to the culture.
Over the past couple of days, I know you guys have been posting those fun videos with the tag "This is Hockey Valley" on it. What went into that, and what are you guys trying to prove by showing a little bit more personality of this team ahead of the week? So that's all that guy right there. And I didn't have a choice in it. He told me I have to do this and that and say this and say that, and that's all I know about it. It's all his brainchild.
Building off that, did you ever think you'd have an acting career?
Did I ever think? From the comments of my wife and daughter, no, not at all.
For the majority of this tournament, you guys have been kind of the underdogs. Do you use that kind of as fuel, or is it something you don't necessarily think about a lot?
The coaching staff hasn't, but I do know, to be fair, that the players do. I know that they've heard things, and I can hear them. Sturtsy specifically has come in and go, nah, man, I walked through the locker room. I mean, they're not really happy with a couple of things that are said, and that's fine. I mean, it is what it is. We're the only fourth seed in the Frozen Four, and that's fine. I don't think we've ever really, as a coaching staff, played a lot into that, whether it's to our favor or not.
Hey, Coach. Last week you were talking about how it was kind of a nice combination of players that hadn't necessarily been in Allentown before and players that had to kind of settle down the nerves. But now your team's in a spot that they've never been in before. Does the message in the locker room change at all, or is it, like you said earlier, a little bit more business as usual?
It is business as usual. I think obviously it is a little different. There's going to be a little more brighter lights. There's going to be a little more media. There's going to be a little more attention from family and friends, and we know that. I think it's something that the team talked about actually today in the locker room, and again, that's something that you can rely on your leaders for leading the way. You can speak as much as you want, but I think it's really the example of the leaders and how they act, and I feel pretty confident that they they have the right idea, and their message is, yes, this is a business trip and business as usual.
Guy, you mentioned youth hockey briefly earlier. In the decade that you've been here, how have you seen that grow, and what do you think something like this can do in terms of generations down the line?
I mean, they have done such a good job here, such a good job. Since you brought up, I do remember when I got here, I think that the team that my two sons played on had 8 players, and I believe the year prior to it, they didn't win a game in the lowest division of the Pennsylvania Youth Hockey Association, and it wasn't long until we had several teams and multiple goalies, and we actually won the championship in the highest division. So this I tell you what, the Pegula staff has done an amazing job of developing hockey players, giving opportunity, and also growing the sport here. The number of teams now, like, I don't know how many more they can handle. In fact, I don't want to speak. I'm not sure they can. I think they might be maxed out. And it really, I think, I'd like to think that the success of, not just the success of the team, but specifically the success of the program, when everybody comes to Pegula Ice Arena and gets to be a part of the atmosphere and see the Roar Zone and see how much exciting it is and how much fun it is, that hockey is something very attractive to the youth here. And it's been great. And that's really, I think Terry Pegula, I know, is very, very proud of that. It's, again, it was his vision to really enhance hockey in all of Pennsylvania, but in the Center County District as well. And that certainly has happened. What you asked about the effect of maybe us going with Frozen Four, I'm sure it can only enhance that. Although, like I said, they've done such a good job here. I don't know how much more growth that we can handle.
What does your prep look like for this game? Because you have 2 weeks to prepare for it, and are there any changes for that?
No, again, it's business as usual, and we did have a bye because we did lose to Ohio State in overtime, so we were able to have a similar situation going into the regional that we do going into the Frozen Four. So we've already sort of had a dress rehearsal on it, and we're basically rinse and repeat in that schedule.
The program has people who've been at the Frozen Four and done things. Who did you reach out for information from your perspective, and what did you want to know to prepare you for this experience?
Yeah, a couple of really coaches that I really respect. One is Rico Blasi, who we sort of entered the business together both at a very young age, over 25 years ago now. And I did ask him his advice because he has been there. Another was today, a fantastic gentleman named Joe Marsh, who actually beat BU to go to the Frozen Four back when there was 12 teams. I mean, there's the coaching fraternity is a very close one, but also one of the great things about this athletic department is you have, such successful programs that you can lean on. I mean, I don't know if there's a better resource right now than Coach Katie. I mean, she just won a national championship. She did it. If you look at the character and the culture of her team and how she was able to, go through unbelievable adversity, I don't think there's a better resource than her.
So, I'm sorry, what do you ask them? What do you want to know? I mean, because your culture's set, you've been through the season, it's business as usual. What do you want to know to be able to put your team in a position to succeed as you want this week?
My question was, what is your advice going to the Frozen Four? Because it is a little different. There's more media, there's more bright lights, there's more events. It's just a little different. So instead of asking about specific areas, I just asked a very general question and took their feedback.
Over the last couple of seasons, we've asked a lot about Dylan Lugris and his experience and time spent with the State College Coyotes. Today he was named a Big Ten Jackie Robinson Community and Impact nominee. What do you have to say about his impact off the ice around this community?
Wow, and I'm sorry, I didn't know that, and that's wonderful to hear. I didn't know that came out. He is so deserving. His impact on this community is immense. His impact on the team has been immense as well. But I tell you what, one of the neat things about this ride right now to the Frozen Four is the number of people that have reached out that have really well-wishers, and I can tell you, the State College Coyotes are right there. They have been such great partners of ours, and Dylan Lugris. The whole team deserves a lot of that credit, but Dylan Lugris is the catalyst behind all of it. What he's done to the culture of our team, what he's done to help the state college community is I think is going to live forever. Like I really do. This isn't just his impact is going to live for a long, long time. And I mean, you give me, I would take guys of his quality and his character any day, any time. His impact on this program has been immense. I feel blessed that he's a part of our program.
Coach, I had a very important question for you about your upcoming flight to St. Louis. I was wondering, are you more of a watching film guy when you're on the plane, or are you going to watch a movie or TV show while you're there?
Probably a nap. To be honest with you, we don't get a lot of time just to be quiet. Although sometimes Sturtsy doesn't like to fly too much, and George sometimes puts him in front of me, which is comedy in its own right. So I'll either be watching a comedy show on Sturtsy or napping.
Coach, earlier you talked about the fast starts your team had in Allentown. There were several moments throughout the season where you emphasized the need for fast starts when the team started slow. How do you plan, or what exactly is the goal, and how do you plan to take those fast starts you got with the home crowd behind you in Allentown to a place like St. Louis where there will be a slightly smaller Penn State crowd?
Well, we attribute that to mental toughness, and whether there is, it helps when there is a great crowd. It does. It helps, but you can't rely on that. So we look at it as mental toughness is performance on demand. Whether there is a crowd or no crowd, whether you're feeling great or not feeling great, whether your flight went really well or not, depending on whether you like the pregame meal or not, what kind of sleep you got, all that stuff is irrelevant. It's really if you were prepared to compete at the drop of the puck. And we look at that as a mental toughness issue. And I think at least a mental toughness opportunity. And I think we've had plenty of opportunities to learn from this year. And there's times, like I actually thought our start against UConn was fantastic too. It didn't mean that we were up, that we went up, but our start was great. So it doesn't always mean you get the result, but I think that the mentality is what you control.
Time for a few more questions before we bring a couple of the student athletes in. You have another one, Josh?
I want to go back to the penalty kill that you mentioned. That's been very solid for you guys. It's, for the first time in program history, perfect in non-conference play. What exactly do you think has led to that success? And can you pinpoint maybe a certain player or a strategy of sorts?
Sure. There's a number of players, and you've seen them on the ice. I mean, I would say Cade Christian is a huge one. I think Dane Dowiak, Keaton Peters, Carson Dick, Tyler Paquette are certainly part of that. Jared Crespo, Carter Shade was. Those are some key personnel. However, what I love most about the penalty kill is the confidence that Giuliano Pagliaro had in the team and in himself. Because the past year, we didn't have the great numbers, but he looked at it and analytic-wise and would just dissect film and said, geez, I just really like what we're doing. I do. I like what we're doing. And a number of goals were scored at the very end of power plays. And he really, what I really give him a ton of credit for is he believed in himself and he didn't change. He got a little bit better, but it wasn't because we made any adjustments systematically. It was just that he believed in himself and kept getting better and better. And that's why I feel really good about the PK because of that.
Got one more, Josh?
No, I'm good for right now.
Hey, Coach. With this being uncharted territory for the program, how have you approached keeping the younger guys level-headed and composed in a moment as big as the Frozen Four, especially when the emotions and media attention and stakes are all elevated and with this big of a freshman class?
So it's not what I have done at all, or the coaching staff. We have had a brief conversation with the leadership group, but it's been all them. And you obviously, through the challenges that we've been through this year and how incredible the leadership group has been, and the results that they get, right? They've been fantastic, but look at the results they've been getting. So, boy, we have a lot of faith in them, and they're the ones that are really, I wouldn't say monitoring the younger guys, but I think they're the ones that are showing the way and how to act, and I believe in them 100%. I have total faith. Again, if you can imagine being in a spot where you haven't won in your first 9 starts, and then to see the leadership group control the locker room and make them positive and have fun and have a very a wonderful environment. I mean, man, I believe in those guys 100%. So that's I'll leave that up to them.
Thanks, Guy.
Thank you
Joined
very much.
momentarily by a couple student athletes. Student athletes Tyler Paquette and Dylan Lugris. If you have a question in the room, please raise your hand. We'll bring a microphone to you for you to ask your question. If you have a question on Zoom, please use the raise hand feature, and I'll call on you to unmute, and you can ask your question.
Tyler, this question is for you first. You're someone that has been here now for 5 years. You came back for a fifth and final season. How important is it to you to see this team do something that's never been done before, and just the culture that has been built here that you've seen in your 5 years leading up to this moment?
Yeah, it's amazing, and something that's never been done, and I'm extremely grateful and excited to even write more history. Coming back, we just had two things that aren't checked off on our checklist in the locker room, and we've accomplished one of those things. And then also, it's so cool to see all the guys I've played with over the years and how happy they are for me, Jim, the seniors and juniors, kids they've played with, guys like Kex, Waller, Paul was at the game, even Peyton Jones. I never got to play with him, but all the alumni coming and just seeing how happy they are for our team and what we've accomplished is really special.
Your coach said you guys have a lot to do with the culture. What is different with this year's culture that hasn't been like this other years?
I think we always try to push being positive, but I think that's something that's a lot easier said than done. So, when it got to the dog days of January, we were 0-9. We kind of didn't really have a choice. We were going through a big skid, and one that we knew that we just have to get over a hump. And we kind of just committed. I want to say a lot of senior leadership came in. A lot of the freshmen really dug in, and we just committed to staying positive no matter what. And I think that's why we've had success coming back when we were down in games. And I think that's helped us get through the second half of the year and have been so successful. So I think just staying positive, doing the right things consistently has been the biggest factor for sure.
Wanted to follow on that. We heard that Carson Dick kind of led the leadership group, kind of addressing the team after the slow start to Big Ten play. What did he say exactly, and what was that experience like to have a teammate kind of call everyone out, and then for you guys to ultimately build on that and for it to work out?
Yeah, I'd say for both of us, Dick is such a great guy. He's one of our best friends, and we were all at a point where we were especially the seniors, where we were this is our last go at this. And no matter what happens, all we want to do is win. So he kind of gathered us and hey, we should do meetings. So we met with basically everyone on the team individually and just said hey, this is our last go at this. We want to win. This is what we think you have to do to win. This is what we want to do. And then again, not every guy you meet with individually is the same. So we just tried to come up with different ways to interact with each guy. I don't really know how to phrase it, but you have so many different personalities on our team. Everyone kind of, I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, I think just to add to Pac's point, Carson came up with the idea that if we meet with everybody individually, we can kind of go through and see what's working right now and what we think their positive values are and what things that they can work on. And this was every single person. So, sometimes it takes a really strong person to be able to look at somebody that's their peer and somebody that goes to work every day with them and to tell them that, hey, we need to pick up the pace here a little bit. We need to do this better. But I think there was a lot of maturity shown on the other side too. guys could have easily been like, yeah, whatever, man. Like, we're 0-9. Like, I'm doing my thing. But everybody kind of just dug in. And after that, I'd say that was a pretty pivotal moment of, like, okay, like if our seniors believe in us, you know, when we're going through such a bad skid, like, I think we can do it. And credits to the guys that we talked to, they showed a lot of maturity.
Tyler, growing up as a Pennsylvania guy, I'm sure Penn State was known for success and things that weren't hockey. What does it mean to you to bring success to Penn State hockey, and what do you hope is the kind of ripple effects from this?
Yeah, especially as a Pennsylvania kid, especially being around Philly, you see how large the alumni network is, and it's the biggest in the world for a reason. And even though I didn't cheer for Penn State hockey growing up because they didn't have a program yet, I could say probably 90% of my neighbors are Penn State alums. You see that. I was a big football fan of Penn State growing up, and yeah, just to be a part of that's super cool. And you see it like in Allentown how big of an outreach our school has, and just the support we've received from everybody is amazing. I'm glad to be a part of it.
Can you guys talk about how it feels to play in an NHL barn? Obviously, played at Capital One in D.C., played at MSG in New York, but obviously Enterprise Center coming on Thursday. Is there any sort of energy boost that you guys feel the second you step on the ice? Is there anything you can say about playing in those kind of rinks?
I mean, nothing beats Pagula, obviously. We have the best fans in the world. But yeah, I mean, it's super special, like being able to go on the ice like that. It's a privilege and an honor. We try not to think too much about the bright lights and stuff, and we want to make it as much of a business trip as possible.
We were talking about the penalty kill being perfect in non-conference play, and Tyler, coach attributed you as part of that unit's success. What do you think works so well for you guys on the penalty kill?
Yeah, I'd say our coaches do an awesome job with their pre-scouts. Like whenever I go out there, I'm never confused on what the other team's doing. We do like in-depth video, and Pags does a great job. I know he's usually the catalyst behind that. And yeah, it's just all the guys that are on it just buying in and kind of doing whatever he takes. It's sometimes not the prettiest role, but if we take a lot of penalties, like they have to get killed or else, yeah, we can put in a bad spot. But our coaches do an awesome job letting us know kind of the formations, what they run, and like what we need to do to be successful against them.
Tyler, your line mate Dane Dowiak was voted last week most outstanding player at the Allentown Regional Tournament, had a couple of goals, and then your other line mate, Keaton Peters and Dane. What have you guys done so well in this postseason? Because it seems like you guys have been flying out together. How well have you guys gelled during this entire stretch?
Yeah, they're both awesome players, and they're both great guys. And a big thing is they both are just so dedicated to what they do. I mean, we get sent out for like most of D-zone faceoffs, and they're both, I think they're top 10 in I don't know exactly where their ranking is in faceoff percentage in the country, but I think they're both top 10, and they take a lot of pride in that. They're both really strong kids. They do a lot of extra work, and I think that shows. Like they both don't take days off, and yeah, it's been good.
What has been your mentality over the last month, knowing that since the Minnesota game, any game could have been your last? And how do you guys feel knowing that it's given you a little bit of a competitive edge in these games?
Yeah, I mean, like we said earlier, like it was kind of like we didn't really have a choice. Our backs were against the wall, and I think, like I know Dane Dowiak said this after we lost in Ohio State in the first half of the year. He was like take pride, like do it for your seniors. If you can't find it within yourself, do it for your seniors. And to have a younger guy kind of stand up and say something like that means a lot to us for sure. But just that playoff mentality, like back to you said, like if we lose one of those games or if it goes the other way, like it's definitely could change the path of where we are now. So I think just back against the wall play, but kind of just staying consistent to what we do, because we know that we have the formula to beat a lot of teams. So we just want to stay true to that and play playoff hockey as long as we can.
Hey guys, on the wall over here, got kind of a dumb one, but I know there's a lot of ping pong, a lot of darts and such going on in the locker room. Who's the best? Who takes it the most seriously? Is it the same person? What's it like having that going on all the time?
I'd say I'm a kind of guy I just got on the board, and then you can't move down if you don't play. So I just go up until someone challenges me. But he takes it super seriously. John Hanna plays a lot of darts. Him and Gads are at the top, and then I think me and Eamon are behind. No one plays me in chess. So
yeah, Gads is a very competitive person. I think having like the dart room and the chessboards and ping pong kind of drives that and keeps guys at the rink for longer than they actually think they're there. And it's kind of a way for guys to, like I said, stay in the rink but not be focused on hockey, and you can stay competitive. But he's definitely lost an edge. I feel sorry for him. The hips aren't what they used to be 30 years ago. So he's starting to drop back a little bit. But no, it's always fun playing him in ping pong. And I know you play him in darts too. So
yeah, I'd say his work ethic's unmatched. Like, I think we got the chessboards like a year ago, and I probably beat him like in less than 30 seconds. Then I played him a month later, and he had gotten like drastically better. So you just know he's on his phone like 24/7 playing against like bots to try and get better, but he'll never tell you that. But he just like magically got really good in like a month and never told anyone.
I would follow up with a real hockey question. How important has RC been on this run for you guys, and just kind of bringing him in to the program for this year?
Yeah, RC's unreal. I think it was cool to see him mic'd up the other day. It shows how infectious his like positivity is and his work ethic. So he's definitely been like amazing for us. It can't go unnoticed. And yeah, you just watch one game, he bails us out a couple times, and knowing we have him back there is awesome.
Tyler, you mentioned that you didn't grow up a Penn State fan because they didn't have a program yet. When you were a kid, I guess, however many years ago it was, when you saw that an in-state team was starting to build, what was a varsity hockey team, what was your reaction to that? And do you remember what Guy's recruiting pitch was?
Yeah. I'd say I started to really love it. I think I committed in like 2017, and I had been on visits before, and I remember meeting with Gads and other members of the staff, and it was only 2.5 hours away. A big sales pitch was to my parents watching every game, and they've been there for me. I think they've missed maybe one game. My dad would, if we had a Thursday, Friday game, he would drive up and then drive home, work, and then drive back up for the Friday game. That was a big component of it, and then obviously the facilities are a great selling point for any recruit, and the fan base too. But yeah, just going somewhere where all my friends, like I had friends from home that went here and they could come to every game, that was a big component. And then, yeah.
Dylan, as an out-of-stater, bit different experience. What was that pitch like for you? What did Guy kind of tell you when he was trying to get you to commit here?
Yeah, my recruiting journey was a little different than most of the guys on the team. I got a call December 15th, 2021, a day that I'll never forget. I was playing junior hockey as an age out and wasn't really talking to many schools. It didn't seem like my dreams were pretty much over to play Division I hockey. I didn't really know where I was going to end up. And Coach Baggs called me, and he said, if you can get your application in by tonight, you can come here next week. And I was like, done. I was like, absolutely. So I was still in my gear because I was in practice in New Jersey, and I ran to the locker room, took my stuff off, drove back to my billet house, and got my application in. And but what they were talking to me before that was, I already knew Penn State would be a great place to play just because of the facilities you see on TV. But what they really talked about was the culture they were trying to build. They were trying to get good people in there, trying to build it back up from what happened in COVID. And yeah, I just immediately, as soon as I stepped foot on campus, I fell in love with it, and I'm so grateful to the coaching staff for allowing me to be a part of this place.
What's the buzz been like on campus? Since the Allentown regional, what has it been like for you guys to be at this stage and be in this community?
It's been amazing. I mean, when we got back, seeing that many people there supporting us was definitely something I'll never forget, and I know everyone on our team won't either. And then even just walking around like downtown or going out to eat, like seeing people come up to us and like congratulate us and say they're with us on this journey is really special. And it definitely shows the community we're a part of, and yeah, we're definitely grateful for it.
Yeah, I agree. Like it's been crazy. Like I've been out to eat, or I've been, out walking to class and stuff, and people will stop me and say, hey, like, good luck, and, we're all pulling for you, like Peck said. But I think it's important to note, too, that when we were not in a good spot and we were ranked like 30-something, we still had incredible support from the Roar Zone and all the people that came to our home games. And it could have been really easy for them to just not go to the games, but we used their momentum to build everything back up. So I wanted to give a special shout out to them for never giving up on us. That's something that the guys really, really appreciate and we love about this place.
We'll go to one quickly on Zoom here. Jacob Chairs.
This one's for Dylan. Can you kind of talk about just your line mates and what's it like playing with them, Ben Schoen and Nick DeGray? Seems like you guys have done a lot of really good things, especially in the Big Ten tournament.
Yeah, I love playing with those guys. We're all really close. We're all righties, so it can be tough on draw sometimes in O-zone, but I think we take a lot of pride in our forecheck and disrupting plays. We found a lot of success in that in the Big Ten tournament, and I think if we stay consistent in doing that, then the pucks are going to inevitably go in. So I think if we stay consistent with our work ethic and being hard in the forecheck and staying okay in the D zone, and then we should be good. But yeah, I love playing with them. They're both good guys.
Time for a few more questions for the boys, if anybody has anything.
Dylan, I want to go back to when you first got here and just that journey you talked about being kind of unconventional, joining the team halfway through a season, but in such a short amount, or really a shortened amount of time, your impact has been nothing short of spectacular with the State College Coyotes. Can you talk about how important it is for you to see that kind of community grow and just the culture that you came in talking about, really wanting to help build, how you've seen that improve year in and year out up to this point?
Yeah, I mean, that's been the highlight of my time here for sure. Being able to be a part of something like that is something that's super special, but that's just a testament to this place. And obviously everyone knows about Thon and how great that is. And we kind of wanted to do our own little thing here. And it was really, as crazy as it was that they've been able to grow in the past 3 years and we've been able to raise upwards of $60,000. But what's really been impressive is that how easy it's been to get my teammates involved. It hasn't been like I've had to drag them to the rink. These guys want to help and they want to be a part of that. And we've built that like big family with the Coyotes and us. So, I'm super sad to be leaving a place like this, but I know that it's not going to be a tough transition for next year when I'm not here. So I'm super proud of everything that we've done so far, from my teammates, coaches, and staff that have helped us put this thing together, and I'm looking forward to seeing what's next.
Either one of you could take this. Obviously, there's a lot of moments. A lot of things had to go right even to get in this position. I think, honestly, the coolest one I think is the Johnny during the Colgate series. I think, like, the ripple effect after that, I think is cool. What can you speak to Johnny and what he means to you guys and what that week in particular did for you guys?
Yeah, John's an amazing guy. We all love him, and just the positivity and like the work ethic he brings. Like, he's like the last one out of the rink almost every day, whether it's just stretching, doing anything he wants. And then even when he wasn't getting starts, like taking extra goalie sessions, like asking for shooters all the time. And then whenever we need a goalie, he would always hop out. And yeah, he's just a great guy to be around. And yeah.
Going back to the State College Coyotes, obviously being in the Frozen Four for the first time, a huge accomplishment for everybody in this program. Have you heard from anybody particularly in that community? Have they reached out to you and just have they been following you along this journey with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Max Malik, who's one of the players, and his family came to the Allentown Regional, which was great to see. He's the biggest Penn State fan, and he's actually going to be coming here pretty soon. I think he's coming in the fall, so that was huge for him. And he's part of the new Penn State Adaptive Athletics program, which has been super special to see how that's kind of transitioned into what it is now. And yeah, I got texts from a couple of the people on the team, and like DJ and Russ and Sarah Becker. So it was it's great. I mean, we kind of both are each other's support system, and they love us just as much as we love them. So it was really nice talking to them about it.
What do you think of coaches acting in the This Is Hockey Valley videos that have been getting posted recently?
It's as good as it can be, I guess. But yeah, those were good videos. Good job by John. I think everyone got a chuckle out of those. Yeah, I'd say Didi's was my favorite.
Yeah, Didi's was good. I mean, Gads didn't have to do too much out there. He just kind of had his coffee in his hand and mumbled a couple of things, but he did all right, I think.
We'll go one final question on Zoom. David Melandra.
So my question for you guys is, your head coach mentioned that you guys feed off the impact of the Roar Zone. Can you just talk about the impact you guys had on you during this run, especially up in Allentown, to help you guys get to the Frozen Four?
Yeah, I'd say anytime something goes well, or even when we're not playing well, we just have to focus on like their energy. When we get like a momentum play, like just the noise and kind of the energy they bring kind of lights a fire in us, and sometimes we need that. But yeah, just knowing they're always there through the ups and downs has been so good for us. And even like Dylan said earlier, when we were struggling, they were all there for us, and we knew like, hey, like we need to do better for the people that support us all the time. Like the product we're putting out on the ice maybe isn't what we should, and these people are sacrificing all their time coming to support us, and yeah, we have to do better.
Yeah, I agree with Pac, and like I just want to say it just doesn't get old, like playing in front of them. A lot of times, like you maybe think like, oh, like we've played in front of them so many times, like maybe we don't even think about it, but we think about it all the time. At practice before a big game, before the whiteout, we're like, how crazy do you think they're gonna go tomorrow? Like it's gonna be insane, right? So we talk about that stuff, and they really are like a sixth player. When you think about it, they really do help us a lot. So we're very appreciative of their support for sure.
Appreciate everybody coming out. Appreciate everybody joining on Zoom. Thank you, fellas.
Thanks.